Welcome to Elisabeth Hogarth Designs. I'm working on a set of Christmas cards over the next 25 days and we are on design number 4 today. We are endeavouring to stamp, to mask. This is a card design that I did a few years ago that was very popular, but now I've got some different tools like a stamping platform and masking. So I'm going to work with the same stamps but use them in a slightly different way. So this is a very stylish stamp set from Studio Light, and I've got an old set of fir trees from Woodware stamps. There's a few sentiment stamps as well that I'll incorporate as well later on. I'm going to be using my trusted Versafine Clair for the stamping. So we've got the black and the green. And then I'm going to be using one Distress Oxide tumbled glass to bring some colour into the design. These cards can be made individually, but I'm trying to think of ways to speed up the batch making process for the Christmas card season. So I'm going to prepare 2 cards at once. The mat of the card is going to be a 6x6, but the frame that I'm working with is round about 5¼ inches. So we're going to begin with a piece of A4 paper, but I'm going to use the square die cut to frame the actual part of the picture that I want to use. Because I am stamping and blending, I'm working with super smooth white cardstock. And I've also got a set of masks here from Clarity Stamps. I ended up with 2 sets because I lost one set, funnily enough, so I bought another one because I used them a lot, and then I rediscovered the original set. I can make your own masks with white copier paper. You can use circle die or you can cut your own. You want to have a square with the circle cut from it, but then keep both parts, and I'll show you why later. And then you can also make a set of heels by taking a strip of the copier paper and then gently ripping the curves and the bumps of the heels. Just a quick word about the tools as well. You'll want a wide brush, or you can have a dedicated blending brush that are relatively new to the market, or stencil brushes. Anything where you can blend in a light layer of colour. Because I'm working directly on my desk, I'm going to secure down the super smooth cardstock with some removable tape. Then I'm going to double check that my 5¼ inch die cut frame fits within the A4 sheet of paper. I'm only going to be working in the top 2/3. Then I'm going to take my various masks and work out the composition of the card. So I'm going to have the moon in the background, the hills in the foreground, and then the reindeer will be standing proud on top of the hills. I'm using Distress Oxide. You can use Distress Inks, they'll work equally as well. I've got the tumbled glass and I'm making sure I've got enough ink on my brush, but not too much to overload the scene above. I'm softly blending in the ink, and then when I'm happy with the first layer of the hills, I'll move the mask and adjust it slightly so that I can then bring in some more dimension. Once the hills are in place, I want to work on the outline of the moon. So I'm sticking with the same colour, but now I'm putting the outside square around the circle and lining it up. And then I'm going to take away the circle and add the same ink again, but this time keeping it in a circular motion, and you'll be amazed how you end up with a sphere. I use the square die to frame the area that I'm going to be cutting out, and then I'm lining up the stamp to see where it will be relative to the trees. It's then a matter of die cutting the 2 squares that will become the mats of your card. The first time I made this card, I got to this stage and then I spoilt it with the hand stamping. So this time I'm so pleased that I can now use stamping platform. So if you are not keen on stamping, I would highly recommend getting yourself a stamping platform, because if you miss any parts you can go back in, but you can also do neat little tricks like this. So I'm going to ink up the trees, and then I'll do one card and then the second one, and of course you could do this 4, 5 or 6 times and the trees will be in the exact space that you want. I want to add a third tree in the background, so I'm using the plastic from the stamp set to cover where I've already worked. Then I'm going to reposition the stamp where I want it to sit. I want the ink to be lighter, so it's going to be a second generational stamp. So use a piece of scrap card, ink once, remove it, and then put the tree where you want it in the position on the card. Next I'm going to add the reindeer in the foreground. You want a dark black ink for this. My ink pad's a little bit old now, so I had to stamp this several times, but I've also got a neat little trick. To make the reindeer stand out further, add some clear embossing powder to the already black wet ink, and you'll see that it adds a gloss and it also highlights that the reindeer is in the foreground. Finally, I'm going to stamp in a sentiment over the moon just to tie the whole card together. The ink card toppers were then stuck to the 6x6 card blanks, and I'm going to finish them both off with some dewdrop embellishments. There are our completed cards on day number 4. I hope you will join me again tomorrow for some more card designs. Don't forget, I am saving all of these projects onto a dedicated playlist. See you again tomorrow. Bye bye for now.